But that should be our goal. Let your speech be always with grace. What's grace? Undeserved favor. In other words, kinder than what they deserve. And I believe that applies to everybody in any kind of situation we find ourselves in, even politicians. Always with grace, seasoned with salt, that you may know how to answer each one. One of the things that I've noticed on Facebook since I've been a little bit involved with it is that there's an awful lot of people that feel free to bash the president or the vice president or somebody, some politician, without stopping to realize, wait a minute, that man is God's minister. I'm not saying he's a believer in God. I'm not saying he wants to please God, but he's the man that God saw fit to have in that position at this time. And we should honor him. We should honor him. Do I like the medical product that he just produced? No, I don't. Worst thing about it, I think it was totally misrepresented. And I guess what compounds it, and it's beginning to get into my pocket now. But that makes me even more aware of it. I now am paying more for medical than I ever paid in my life. But that's, still, I need to use grace in the way I speak about him. Psalms 19:14, let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, my strength and my Redeemer. In other words, when the meditation of our heart is acceptable in God's sight as he looks at it, then the words of our mouth, I believe, are much more likely to be acceptable to God. Romans 14:19. Therefore let us pursue the things which make for peace and things by which one may edify another. When I speak about others, is my tongue like a sword? Am I cutting people down unnecessarily? Putting people down unnecessarily, disparaging people? Turn to 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 and I'll close. Look at verse 9. God did not appoint us to wrath, but to obtain salvation through our Lord Jesus Christ, who died for us, that whether we wake or sleep, we should live together with him. Therefore, comfort each other and edify one another, just as you're doing. And it's interesting that Paul goes on to give an exhortation concerning those that are of good reputation that function as ministers in the church. We urge you, brethren, to recognize those who labor among you and are over you in the Lord and admonish you. And esteem them very highly. They have a good name. They have a good reputation. And if they don't, they maybe shouldn't be doing what they're doing. But esteem them very highly in love for their work's sake. And be at peace among yourselves. So in other words, to the degree, if we're working with men that are overseers in the church, that have a good name, that have the qualifications that God has established, and we esteem them highly in love for their work's sake, then if there's an issue between brethren, then they can resolve it for us. They can help us resolve it, get beyond it. Be at peace among yourselves, in other words. They have the respect in our lives that they can bring peace among brethren. And then in verse 14 he says, exhort you, brethren, warn those who are unruly, comfort the faint-hearted, uphold the weak, and be patient with all. That's good instruction. Warn those who are unruly. So you don't just let things slide by that need to be addressed. Comfort those that are faint-hearted. Uphold those that are weak. And be patient with everybody. All. In order to do that effectively, it takes what? Did you say wisdom?
Vigilance.
Vigilance takes vigilance. It also takes wisdom. How do you distinguish between unruly, faint-hearted, weak, and the rest of us? Everybody. In other words, how do you know who you should warn versus who you should say, okay, let me try to help you, you know, or say, if you don't stop doing that, there's going to be problems. It takes wisdom. But a good reputation is rather to be chosen than great riches. And if somebody steals our reputation, and that does happen, people can repeat a lie often enough that people begin to believe it. And people begin to repeat what they've heard that isn't true. The other day I got an email from somebody and it had all kinds of stuff in it that wasn't true. I don't know whether it will help or hurt as far as, depends. But I don't know where they got the information. I don't know why they felt the need to repeat the information.
I know they failed to prove all things.
But there wasn't, I don't think, the consideration it should be for somebody's good name. Happen to be mine in this case, but anyway. So let's close. Your thoughts?
Taking that last